At least 33 cops in Detroit are under investigation. At least 33. Because these police officers, according to the report, engaged in activity to bring injury, to bring harm to peaceful protesters. Let me give you some background. There's a 22-minute video compilation that was released last Tuesday by activist group Detroit Will Breathe. In the footage, Detroit police officers are urging one another to turn their body cameras off, which should be a crime in itself. And they moved demonstrators and were violent against these demonstrators intentionally. They used pepper spray, physical force, even appeared to be compliant. Those that appeared to be compliant with orders still received the aggression and criminality from these police officers, okay? Let me take you to this first video.
Shut the camera down. Turn off that camera. Are you done? Go that way. That way. Please, ain't no that way. God damn, now you want to cry. You're like a real watermelon or something. That's that bitch. I know, right? I ain't gonna lie to you. Got fun. This is like Disneyland.
Hold on. Now stop resisting. Please stop. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
Donation is not necessary.
But it's empty. I didn't use it all. They came up with the pepper spray. I came up with smoking the pepper spray. A lot of people say.
I thought it'd be worse. I wanted more.
They got a girl choked on. Come on, man, she can't breathe.
I should have a shield and a spray.
You should have a shield that functions as a sprayer. You like squeeze the trigger.
12 people, whereas with the shield I can only hit one.
Man, this one lady was jumping in my face when we were trying to push, and she started swinging, so I hit her with a baton in the stomach, and she was like, bitch, I'm pregnant, you just killed my baby. And she came back like 10 minutes later, it was like, you, and wrote down my badge and stuff, and it was like, you killed my baby.
My helmet
shouldn't be out here.
How y'all doing tonight? I'm keeping mine on. The hunt is on.
Turning off their body cameras, encouraging other police officers to turn off their body cameras in order to commit criminal acts, committing criminal activity, being aggressive and violent against peaceful protesters, laughing about them, laughing at them, and then saying that they actually wanted more action. 33 police officers are under investigation. Only one has been charged in connection to that. This was back in 2020. This is a quote from Detroit Will Breathe attorney Jack Schultz, who represents the group in a federal lawsuit against the city and the police department. The quote says, "The city has maintained a public narrative of openness to free speech that has not matched the actions of its police force as witnessed by protest participants. The footage represents a more accurate look at DPD's treatment of those who exercised their First Amendment rights against police abuse last summer. Also, the footage of the actual events shows the officers sought to maximize punishment, and in some cases, officers experienced a sick joy out of inflicting both physical and mental damage on citizens. A damn shame. But see, this is not a silo. This is not separate from the system. You see, policing is a team sport. This is part of a systemic culture. It is part of a group expression, and everybody was down with the program. You think this just happened to them? You think this is just a Detroit cop or Detroit cops? Come on. It goes deeper. There are over 30 ongoing investigations into what happened. One has been charged. According to Deadline Detroit, There are 33 internal investigations into potential officer misconduct during the summer protest. Of the 16 closed cases, at least one officer was charged by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office after shooting rubber bullets at reporters. Here's another video to show you some contrast.
You know, we have something that really works here in Detroit that not only praise the men and women who wear the uniform, who go out and put their lives on the line every day, but also our community leaders, our activists.
I never, for a second, lose sight of the fact that I was hired by a community that's predominantly African American. And when members of our community watched a criminal police officer choke the life out of George Floyd, the pain they were feeling was more than the pain of that one incident. It was the residual and generational trauma.
We support the right to free speech. We support peaceful protests. We're in this together.
Hold our officers to always be professional. And by and large, when you look at the interactions that our officers have had, they've been professional, and we've executed with precision and brought a successful closure to those events. So my hats continue to be off of the vast majority of Detroit police officers who do a phenomenal job.
The fact is, now, as we've done all of these protests, the vast majority are peaceful, and we support that. It is our role to keep them safe, everyone safe. But clearly there was aggression, it was violence, so that's not a peaceful protest.
You're right, your cops are making it not peaceful, correct. You're 100% accurate on that. So let me give you some more irony here. The police chief, his name is Chief James Craig. So he retired in June, okay? He retired, and you know what he's doing now? He's running for governor as a Republican in that state. That's what's happening now. You treat people bad, you oversee an operation that victimizes black folk, that criminalizes a peaceful protest, and you don't get a demotion, you're seeking a promotion. The audacity of some of these individuals and the culture of policing. As I said before, I do not call out cops or good cops, I call out bad cops on this program and beyond. I got my big homie Farron to talk about some of this, man. Break it down as you see it, brother.
You know, I think it's a great thing that you read in that quote where they said the officers took a sick joy in watching this unfold, because that's the same thing I kept thinking throughout this whole thing. Is it's sadistic when you see them standing on the corner and they're laughing about it, like, ha, I hit her in the belly, and she's like, oh, my babe. That's sadistic. What these individuals are doing there is absolutely indicative that, you know, maybe it does, this profession attracts that certain kind of mindset where people actually take joy in doing these things to individuals, even when it, you know, very clearly violates their constitutional rights. Those people that we saw in those clips were peaceful protesters, and these cops still took it upon themselves to do that. And we see this, you know, unfortunately, far too often in this country. And I feel at this point, I don't think this can be reformed. This job, this profession does this, and it attracts this. So I don't know what you do moving forward from this, but we are seeing this far too often. And if this is what they're willing to say, joking around on the job, you know, what are they saying behind the scenes? What are they saying when they're all back at, you know, the precinct, or when they're out for drinks later after work? I do want to know that. You know, I want to see how these individuals behave to find out if there is some kind of, sadism running through these officers. And for 16 of these investigations to already be closed, with only one person charged, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous to me.
Farron, you make a great point about reform. I don't think reform is even possible anymore, because when you look at reform, it means that the formation must be intact. You have to have something intact in order to reform. If you do not have the foundation intact, what you're talking about is an overhaul. You're talking about reimagining. You're talking about defunding. and putting in something new. That's what you're really talking about now. Now we could keep saying the word reform, but that's not what we actually need. We need a reimagined way to do policing in the United States of America. It is no coincidence that damn near 100% of Americans believe that there is something wrong with policing, and they agree that there should be reform in policing. 95% of Americans believe that. It's tough to get 95% of Americans to believe on facts that are in their face. But 95% of Americans believe there is something fundamentally wrong with how we do policing in the United States of America. And beyond that, brother, one of the things that we cannot take lightly, the fact that in their banter, in their personal conversations, they know somebody has a camera on. They're willing to talk like this about individuals they should protect, they should serve. So literally you have one class inside of law enforcement saying one thing caught by these cameras, and then you have the executive side being the PR wing. They're saying all the right things to the public, but the actions, the activity of these police officers are completely contrary to the reality of what's happening. So I'm hopeful that videos like this, and big ups to Detroit Will Breathe for putting out this video. Ladies and gentlemen, we showed you a short snippet. This is a 22-minute video. It gets even deeper than what you were able to see. So big ups to them and the attorney for making some noise here. And we're going to have to clean this up, obviously, one police department at a time, if Republicans continue to be adversarial to common sense legislation as it relates to policing and accountability in America.